Good morning, everyone. Youngstown's Talk Channel.
Morning.
Joe and Kelin, and we have a guest today. Josh is here with us. Josh has a pretty good social following, pretty good social channel. I peek in on you guys from time to time.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell our audience what you do and kind of what your niche is?
My name is Josh. I am the owner of Sauner Solutions Nuisance Wildlife Removal, and what I do is residential and businesses that have wildlife problems, whether it be in their home, attics, crawl spaces, basements, or on their property and property damage. I remove those animals for them.
Okay, you get some weird stuff. I'm assuming
From time to time.
Yeah, like what's in our area? What are the weird ones, or the ones you don't like touching?
Well, all of our Ohio native wildlife, I don't really mind anything native here at all. I'm not afraid of them, and I know how to handle them. So nothing really out of range for me to handle, really, to be honest with you. I have had some non-native things that I've had to handle in the past that were pretty interesting, like a 5'3" monitor lizard.
Oh, yeah.
And then also somebody called me and said that they had a snake behind their hot water tank. I assumed it was either a garter snake or water snake or something that we have here in Ohio, and it ended up being their ball python that got out of an enclosure.
Got it.
So, but I still got those handled.
My soul would have left my body. Like, there's no way. I probably would have just burned the house down.
Well, I had a friend that used to live in Youngstown, and he had a huge illegal Savannah monitor in his basement, and it did get out one time when
Is
he
that
put
a
it
snake?
in. No, it's a big lizard, hardcore tail. I mean, this thing, like if you went up to it, I mean, it was a great eater, and he held like a broom up in front of it one time. It slapped its tail, broke the broom in two.
Yeah.
This thing was aggressive. It was a total asshole of an animal.
Why does somebody want one of these?
Well, exotics are a big thing. A lot of people will throw tigers in their backyard or big ball pythons.
Just to be like, look at this cool
Yes,
thing I have.
Yeah.
That's what I encountered with the monitor lizard that I handled. The guy had ordered it. Wherever he ordered it from said that it was tamed, it was handled, et cetera, et cetera. That was not the case.
No, not the case.
Not the case at all. Like you said, it
At
had
all.
the tail whip, the teeth, and it was not happy.
Yeah, they're jerks.
So,
They
Can you
really-
train snakes and lizards
No,
and things?
No, there's no training. It can either be non-aggressive around you or not, and that's really it. There's no training.
There's not really like you're gonna control if it's aggressive around you. You just have to hope it's not.
Yeah, you have to condition it not to totally rip your throat out when you're
But how do you condition it? Like, how do you know
well,
you're got
if it associates with you with food, right, and it is made happy because you give
Yeah,
it food,
like,
then when you
can't
come through
kill
the
this
door,
guy.
it's
He
not like I'm
feeds
not
me.
going to eat that guy, but I'm going to eat what he's got for me.
you guys should have Ed Kimura with Kimura
Yes,
Outdoors
he's a
on.
good dude.
He's
Good dude.
awesome. A really good friend of mine. He would teach you guys all about that. That's all he handles is snakes and lizards and tortoises and turtles and stuff. So he's a really
So do
awesome
you
guy.
work? Is it completely private? Or do you work for Division of Wildlife? Do you couple or team up with them at all?
So I'm licensed by them. So I'm licensed through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. They appoint us as what our title is nuisance control wildlife operators. Okay, so they have us go out and do these things because obviously with the ODNR they're out doing bigger and better things, and so there's people like us that are available.
Okay, so like if you're, I don't know, an eagle or a hawk crashes in your backyard, hurts its wing, right?
So there is certain things like that would be more of a rescue more than a
Okay.
wildlife removal.
Not
with
you.
Birds of prey. There is certain cases where you do have to call the ODNR. Like I just had an incident the other day where a deer was injured by a car. It got onto a private residence. It was in city limits. So obviously that animal unfortunately didn't make it and it had to be euthanized. I had to call the ODNR so they can come. I'm not allowed to discharge a firearm in city limits, but because they work for the government, they can. So yeah, we do team up on some things together.
Okay. Now, with not, I mean, we have some predators in this, in Ohio. I mean, we got some, coyotes, we got some bear.
Bear, coyotes, bobcats are making a
Bobcats.
good comeback now. Now we're getting more and more of the fisher cats, which are a small predator, but a predator nonetheless.
Now, how do you
Yeah.
feel about introducing predators to keep those, other animals in control?
Man, it's tough to balance, and if you look back in history, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a professional
Yeah.
in wildlife biology. It seems like any time man gets involved and they reintroduce something, the balance is off.
We jack it up.
Yeah. Anytime we get involved, like the coyotes, we introduced coyotes here in Ohio probably before you and I were born because there were so many deer. Now the deer population suffers, and now there's coyotes everywhere. And so, not just the coyotes taking the deer, but the ecosystem. If you have too many deer in a certain area, they're going to eat all the shrubbery and all the plant life, and they're going to deplete that property of the food sources, which also affect the small animals that eat the same food as the deer. So anytime we get involved,
I can't think of one
Yeah.
that really worked out well. I mean, even on the insect world, we introduced those Asian beetles to
Right.
combat the aphids, and then
Yeah.
now they're too plentiful, so we introduced. It's like
Right.
there was no woman
Is that
to swallow a fly kind of thing.
Yeah, is that the ones that they keep showing pictures like online of these insects that they say they're encouraging people to kill them. If you see
Oh,
these,
that's the
kill them.
lanternfly. The lanternfly.
Yes.
Is what you're
Invasive
talking
They're
about.
as can be.
invasive, and they said they're
Yes.
really bad. And if you see one, kill it. And I'm just like, oh, they're gross too.
Well-
I don't handle insects, but I know a little bit. Like the lanternfly is a big deal right now, and I have seen those posts that you're talking about, where they're just
Yeah.
like, if you see them, kill them. So
Why is that? What are they?
I'm not
gonna
sure. I'm not
do?
an insect guy, to be honest with you. I just do.
Oh.
I think they
wildlife
just
and
eat
reptiles.
everything. Their body mass is huge, and they probably tear up crops. That's my
Yeah.
guess.
Probably.
How about I'm having an issue currently around my house. What do you do if it's like not wildlife stuck in the house? They're not stuck anywhere they shouldn't be. They are just in the wild. But I never realized how plentiful skunks were
Oh, yeah.
around
We
here.
have all over our
Oh
place.
my God, they're everywhere. And every time I go out of my house, I can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, someone's got to move this thing. I don't know where it lives.
No, that's your weed smoking neighbor. It's not the skunk.
No,
I
honest
assure
to God,
you.
we thought it was for a while. But I have learned neighbor smell, true skunk smell.
So right now we are in. I just made a post about this on my business page. We are in the middle of skunk breeding season.
Ugh.
And this is what I tell everybody that call, and I'm getting a ton of calls about this very thing that you're discussing right now. A skunk, when it sprays, you can smell it a mile away. Literally a mile away.
Oh, I believe it.
So
I believe it.
when people call me, I tell them to keep that in mind. Just because you're smelling it doesn't mean that it's on your property. Obviously I'm a paid service, so if you want me to come and investigate, there's going to be a fee for that, but it might be down the road. It might be down the block, again, a mile away. And as far as wildlife cruising through your property, there's really no cure-all for that. There is no preventative measure that you can take for that unless you want to go the crazy amount of fencing in your yard and doing things like that. The biggest thing I could say, if you have sheds or outbuildings, a deck or a porch, they do make products that you can actually spike down into the ground. They're known as burrow barriers or dig defense. They're like a 3-foot panel, and they have bars that are an inch apart, and they're 2.5 foot high. You spike them down. You want the top of that burrow barrier to touch the bottom of your deck or your shed or your outbuilding. And then when an animal like a groundhog or a skunk or anything of that nature starts to dig, they hit those bars and they say, I can't get here. And then they take off and leave.
Okay.
Can you lean into the mic a little bit?
Sure.
Just get a little bit closer. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you remember the Friendly Trapper that used to be on KBN maybe
Yeah.
20 years ago? That dude was hardcore, and he
Yeah.
had different philosophy. Old farmer guy, dealt
Right.
with varmint way different than we do today. I remember the first time I walked into the studio and he was still in, and he said, somebody called in and said, I've got this groundhog. He's tearing up my garden. He's being destructive. He was like, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your car and I want you to back it up there. I want you to take a hose. I want you to wrap the exhaust pipe, and I want you to put that pipe down in the groundhog's hole and let it run for about 25 minutes.
Aww.
Yeah, so the difference between me and that guy is my company, and it took me a year or two to get there, but I will say when I first started my company, I started with a different perspective and a different outlook. And then a couple years of baby season, rearing season for raccoons, skunks, etc., mixed with a couple other variables that we could talk about if you want to. I focus on humane aspects of deterring the animal off of your property, deterring it out of your attic, getting them excluded out of your home rather than trapping them off the property. Because with the state of Ohio and the laws, the thing is, certain animals that are especially on the rabies vector species list, if I remove a raccoon, that's my number one call every day, okay? If I remove a raccoon off of your property, there is no relocation. They don't survive relocation, wildlife biologically speaking. If I take them from here in Mahoning County back to my place in Trumbull County, they have no idea where food, water, or shelter is. So they will either starve, dehydrate, or panic and stress, or fight other predators that are already in that area. So when you're trapping them, they have to be euthanized. And that's skunks, raccoons, possum, anything. So I try to focus on, they already have a different place beside your home that they're already living. A lot of species have multiple dens. So I try to get them to leave your property without having to trap them, remove them, and euthanize them. I'm over it. I'm not into it. It bums me out.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. So.
Everybody wants a trash panda. Like, they're so cute. They really are. They're not nice.
The
but they're
babies,
nice.
maybe. I've seen babies before, like on the side of the road or something, and I'm like, oh, don't come in my house. But you can stay over there and be cute. Even skunks. They're not that bad looking, but they're...
Yeah, you probably don't want a skunk. Unless you
No.
get it D whatever, like...
Yeah, you can take the scent glands
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
They make great pets. They're kind of like a cat, to be honest with you. They're
Okay.
pretty chill.
What do you do if you are sprayed by a skunk? What's the best method?
Oh, I know. It's tomato sauce.
I was going
You
to say,
bathe
I've
in
always heard tomato
sauce.
sauce. And my
wives'
brother's
tale.
dog has been sprayed by a skunk, no joke, probably 4 or 5 times, and they struggle with it bad. And
So with the skunk thing, so here's what I'm going to tell you. Being that I do this professionally, I've tried everything from the tomato to the baking soda, Dawn dish soap, and peroxide. And the only thing that I have found that works is ironically enough, there is a company out there that is called Poo, P-O-O-P-H, and it's a skunk odor eliminator. Okay, and when I say it works, there is nothing that takes it away 100%. You might get 85-90% of the scent out of your clothes or out of your furniture
Oh,
or carpet,
no.
but it's going to linger for quite some time.
Yeah, even when there's a
Yeah.
roadkill, even when it's long been cleaned up, there's a
Yeah.
month where you can
Yep.
still smell that.
Absolutely. And with
Yeah.
dogs, the thing that people miss with the dogs, if your dogs get sprayed, the first instinct people have is spray their dog with a hose or put them in the bathtub. You have just set the oils of that skunk deeper into the dog. If you're going to do the Dawn dish soap, baking soda, and peroxide, you have to make that into a paste, put it on the dog dry, and it has to stay on the dog 10 to 15 minutes, and then you rinse it off. If you wet the dog immediately,
Done.
you're smelling it for months.
Dang.
Yeah.
oh, that's good to know. And then try to keep the dog from eating the paste
Yeah.
while it's on there.
Yeah.
See, that's why I need to know if there is a skunk near my house. I can't risk it
just
getting my
embrace
dog.
it. Just keep the skunk scent around. Treat it like it's a great smell, and let's perfume
But
it up.
if it comes into my back, like we do have a fenced-in backyard, but it's aluminum, so it's not solid. If it sprays my enormous furry dog, we're gonna have to give him away. Like I don't even know what we would do. That would be impossible to clean up.
Yeah.
All right, so now when you have like a park or even a backyard, and you get geese that find your property to the liking, and they just make a mess of everything.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
geese are probably pretty hard to relocate without just offing them, right?
Yeah, they are. So they are. I'll be honest with you. I've been doing this for 6 years now. I've gotten one call about geese. It was on a
Wow.
soccer field, and there is a product from a company called Birdex, and it is a spray that you spray, and it's not supposed to affect the grass or the greenery or anything like that. And I tried it. It didn't work. Now, there is certain things that I've heard that you can, things that move, things that have motion, laser lights, things like that, for whatever reason, trigger those geese not to want to be there anymore. That's one call that I've never really gotten, though. Is, like I said, I went and I tried it out one time. They ended up taking off on their own anyways. But I bought this spray, and they said, yeah, spray this. It covers 1/4 of an acre, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work out to me. They could care less, But somebody had I was just talking about this recently, laser lights and motion Like
You have a
whether
laser
that
light show on your
paper
house.
bags or stuff stuff that flops in the wind, they get scared of stuff like that.
I was in a pickle though, because like there's no body of water where I'm located.
Right.
And they've been passing by, saw a swimming pool, jumped in, decided to swim around a little bit, and then she laid a freaking nest.
Oh,
and then I'm like, she's got eggs, protective of it. She's not going anywhere until
No.
after spring
Nope.
for sure.
Nope. No, and if they're happy there, they might not even go there
Exactly.
after spring.
Now that's their
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, now it's
Yeah,
their
I'll
home.
take
See, and
pull
I've
down.
had issues, not so much geese, but smaller birds that once they find like your porch or awning or whatever, and they lay, it's horrible trying to
theirs.
get rid of them.
have
Yeah.
claimed it.
And like you said, they can almost get sort of protective. Years ago, this was down south, I had a bunch of nests up right above my front door. And they would dive bomb anybody around. And it's like, it's my front door. I live here. Get out of here. And it's hard to get rid of.
There is a product that actually from that same company that I mentioned, BirdX. It comes in a tube that looks like caulking, but it never dries. It never cures. Like if you're sealing around your toilet or your bathtub or whatever, that stuff dries and it cures. BirdX, it's sticky and it's tacky. And if you put that on anywhere that they're making a nest or where you see them perching and defecating on your lawn or on the wood or whatever, if you put that where they're sitting and perching, it gets really sticky and they hate it on their feet, they hate it on their feathers. It's really it's not adhesive to where it's going to harm them. It's just sticky and tacky, and they'll land on it once and then they won't want to land on it again. So that's a pretty helpful one. I love using
Ooh,
that stuff.
that's a good one.
Depending on where you put it though, because it won't cure and it is a sticky substance, if it's in a visual place where your friends and family are going to walk in the door and see it, you just got to be careful about that.
Like dirt and things are going to stick to
bugs
it.
are going to
and-
stick to it, dirt's going to stick to it, so it works in the hidden places, so it'll work. It's just going to look pretty bad after the wind blows a few times and there's leaves stuck to it and everything else.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you know what else is bad about having a bird problem, I found, is the bird issue will bring snakes. And that happened to us. And I'm telling you, like, I don't do snakes. If someone brought a snake in here, I would leave. I won't even be around them. And we had an enormous rat snake come
no, really?
because it could smell a nest that was
Snakes
there.
are awesome. You have no idea how much good
they're
it
so
does for
not
our,
awesome.
for our
I love
environment.
them. That's my favorite calls. There's two of my favorite calls. I don't know. You said you pop in on my page every
Yeah.
once in a while. I love bats. And I love snakes.
Oh, help me on this then.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get a bat box set up for the last couple years, and I don't know why I'm not appealing, but I have not been able to get established. Mosquitoes are bad. and
Yeah,
those dudes
I've heard
eat
that.
a ton of them. So what am I doing wrong?
So they have to be facing a certain direction.
Okay.
At least 8 hours. The box needs to face a place. They say southeast or
Okay.
a place that is getting at least 8 hours of sun. Okay. Now the other critical thing is they have to be 15 foot or higher.
Okay.
The other thing that is critical is obviously bats are a very small animal. Their wings are not like birds. Their membrane, their skin. They have to have a clear flight path to get to that box. The one product that I know that you can purchase online, they do sell synthetic bat pheromones that you can spray in the box that attracts them. I do have a client that uses that product, and they were able to attract the bats that were flying in their yard to use that box. And then just keep in mind, remember, that box is only temporary for here in Ohio. They're only going to use that box for spring and summer. That box is not insulated enough for them to hibernate there all winter long, so there's that.
You want them like
Oh,
a
yeah.
birdhouse?
Well, we have them. In the evenings, you can see 10 of them just going gangbuster. I just wanted to bring more of them closer so I can even have more of them picking up the mosquitoes.
No, like summertime. Yeah, I see them flying.
They're cool.
all
They're not going to
evening.
mess with you. They're going
Oh,
to, they
what
get
if they
close
do?
to your
What if
head.
they, like-
no,
yeah,
they're
they
really
dive bomb
good at
your head and you're
flying.
like-
They're really good at seeing you. They're not going to mess with you.
Oh, I
What are you
had
afraid
one
to
in
get
my-
your hair like in the scary movies? And they just like,
I had one when I was a kid in my old house. I lived out in New Springfield in a log house, and I'm laying in my bedroom. I think I was on the phone, and I look up and I go, "What is that?" I stand on my bed, and just curled up in a ball right on the ceiling is a freaking bat, and I was like, "Ah!" We had bats all the time in our house. I think I was traumatized. I heard that they were like, when we moved out of that house, I met the guy who moved in, who bought it. And he's like, oh, do you know that one bedroom up to the right? I said, yeah, that was mine. He's like, man, there's a bat infestation behind the wall. I was like, are you shitting me?
See, that's what I'm trying to
my
cultivate.
God.
And you had it natural. They had it naturally.
Oh, it was awful.
There's a lot of myths with them. That's the thing that I love about them. You think about horror movies, you think about vampires, you think about all this wild stuff. Well, first of all, no bats in Ohio even consume blood other than insects. They don't go for your hair on purpose.
They
don't fly. When you're outside and they're dive bombing you, you don't see that mosquito or gnat or moth that is a couple feet away from you. You know,
They just saved you.
and they just saved you.
100%.
Is it true? When we were kids, my brothers used to stand outside and clap, and it would supposedly bring the bats around.
I don't know if that's
Is that
true.
just coincidence,
It's
maybe?
probably just coincidence. If anything, I would think that any kind of noise or vibration would probably throw off their echolocation.
Yeah, because that's the way they see. And if you're creating a bunch of disturbance, I'm not getting anywhere.
We were dumb
near that.
kids. Oh, yeah, we used to be outside, and they would clap, 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 and they're like, watch it, it brings the bats around. And I was like, well, then stop doing it.
A couple years ago, I went on a trip, and when I came home, there was a dead bat on my stove. So at some point,
What?
when I was gone, a bat got in, probably knocked themselves out and trying to
Yeah.
fly around. But I have no idea how this sucker got in.
They can fit in a pencil eraser size hole.
Okay,
Keep
all
that
right,
in
I know how this.
Wow.
Pencil
Wow.
eraser size hole. And when they're in your home, like in your old home that you were talking about, when they get inside of a living space, like your bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, whatever, flat surfaces register. It messes up their echolocation. Their echolocation is meant for out in nature, in open spaces.
Avoid trees, structures, whatever.
Of that. To them, in an open space like a walls, like in here, it's going to register as water sometimes. It's going to register as an exit sometimes, and that's why they're going to fly into your wall, into your window. And if they're in your attic and then they end up in your living space, it's because their echolocation failed them and they couldn't find their way back up to your attic or out of the house another way.
So they don't want to be in the house.
No,
actually.
they panic probably because they're like, "What the
They
hell
wig
is
out.
this?" Yeah.
Yeah, we were told the couple of times we had bats in this house, we were told turn off all the lights in the house and the front porch light on and open the door and that it will go towards the light.
So
Go
actually,
to the light.
it's opposite. I tell my clients based on, because I actually went to Ohio State University for a day. Not that I went to college, but I went there for a day to learn about bats. I was there for a full day just learning about bats. And what I tell all my clients is if you have a bat in your house, turn the lights off where you want it to go. Like when somebody calls me and says, I got a bat in my house right now, I say, turn off all the lights except for the room that you're hiding in until you wait for me to get there. Keep the lights on. They don't like light. They like to be in the dark. They like to hide in the dark.
You were doing it wrong.
We
this
did the
whole
exact
time.
opposite.
Yep.
I'm sitting in my room scared and I'm doing what exactly would bring it to me.
And it
Oh,
actually, when
God.
you turn on a light, if it's in your bedroom and you have the door shut, and if you turn on the light, they start. It's almost like a moth effect. They'll start flying more erratically. That's when they'll start dive bombing and freaking
That's
out.
when
and,
I
and
would have been like,
circling.
nope.
If you turn the light off, they like that, and they'll calm down a little bit, and they may even land. It makes my job a lot easier. I joked with Isaac last night. I went and picked one up last night at 9 o'clock at night, and I was like, "Hey, I'm picking up a bat. Should I bring it into the studio today?"
Yeah.
No,
Do it up.
I'll leave. I'll be like, bye. Oh my gosh. We had a flying squirrel too in that house. I
a
don't
pet?
know. No, like it just got in.
Really?
Like a legit. I didn't see it, but I was told
Super
it was a
cute.
flying
That's
squirrel.
The number one populated squirrel we have in Ohio is the flying squirrel. We don't know it.
Wow.
We don't know it because they're nocturnal.
Oh, it was at night.
Yep. They're
Yeah.
nocturnal. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the number one squirrel that we have. I know we all see the gray and the black and the fox squirrels, red squirrels. By far, the number one squirrel is the flying squirrel. I would venture. I've been in the woods my whole life since I've been a kid, and a lot of that time was at night. I grew up in a small town. There was nothing else to do. I'm 43 years old. I have seen one flying squirrel in the wild. I have seen hundreds in people's attics, in barns, and outbuildings. So,
Wow.
yeah.
This listener says, "How do I eliminate groundhogs?"
I mean, there's a couple different ways that you can do that. Again, there is certain scents that they are scared of or that bothers them. The one thing that I like to tell people to do is capsaicin. It's what makes spicy spicy. If you know where their hole is, now this is just a base recipe. You can go as crazy as you want with it. But I tell people, get the biggest tub of black pepper and cayenne pepper that you can and pour it in that hole. They're so low. Everybody's seen a groundhog. They're very low to the ground. Their nose is very low to the ground. Their eyes are very low to the ground. If you fill that hole up with cayenne pepper and black pepper mixed together, a significant amount of it, every time they go in and out of that hole, you have created the powder form of mace, basically. It's in their eyes, it's in their nose.
Wow.
Now, it's a little bit, it's an irritant to them. It's not going to harm them for life, but it's going to be enough to where they're like, I'm over this. I'm going to go find a new home. Predatory sense, coyote urine, fox urine. Groundhogs are scared of everything. They're scared of everything. They're pretty sketchy. Every time you walk out, if you open your door and it creaks too loud, they're gone. You just have to make sure when you're doing your research on getting things like coyote urine and fox urine, make sure that it's ethically sourced. You want to make sure whatever company you're buying it from, like they sell it at Bass Pro Shop, they sell it at Fin, Feather, and Fur and Boardman and stuff like that. And they can smell that. And if they think that there's a predator there, and not only that, but they think not only is there a predator here, but he's been around my hole and he knows where I'm living, they're going to take off. Now, you will have some persistent groundhogs that will stick around. And that cayenne pepper and that black pepper thing is great, but that doesn't stop them from going 5 feet away from where you put that ground pepper and black pepper, or black pepper and cayenne pepper, and they'll just dig another new hole. I use live traps for groundhogs. They can be relocated, actually, by law. So if you have a problem, they can always call me. And just check your local laws, however you're going to handle it if you don't want to call a professional.
They're not so picky where they live.
They're not so picky. They, for whatever reason, they have deemed them, wildlife biologists and the ODNR have deemed them able to survive a little bit better than other animals for whatever reason. They're just a little bit more hardy. Them and squirrels, you can relocate because they just survive. So.
Yeah, probably, and look for lots of dens. They do really complicated tunneling.
They do.
And on my yard, we had like 4 entrances, exits. So make sure you hit all of those. With
700 pounds of dirt, one groundhog. So they don't just dig a straight tunnel and then a hole. They have bedroom, bathroom, nursery, food storage.
Wow.
So one groundhog, when they make a den on your property, so if you're talking about a shed or a garage or any other outbuilding, when they get underneath of there, 700 pounds of dirt, you have hollow ground underneath of your structure. I have gone into sheds and the floors are like this. I've gone into, like you said, a place that has multiple groundhogs, and they've dug underneath the concrete slab of a garage.
No.
Cracks down the middle.
Wow.
I've seen a lot of damage from groundhogs. They can be damaging, but they're still important to the ecosystem, and they
Right.
do a lot. They help the soil. When they churn and they dig that soil, they help that soil. It comes back stronger and richer.
They're cute.
They are super cute.
Well, I think the biggest asshole varmint on my property are stupid chipmunks. Like, man, those guys just tear everything
chipmunks.
up. When I look overhead and I see a birds of prey, I'm like, come on down here and get yourself a meal because they are impossible to make go away for me.
I didn't know chipmunks
Stupid
could be
chipmunks. They're
like
destructive.
frustrating.
They dig a
thing
lot
that-
of holes on your property. A lot of holes. And it's like I sit on 10 acres out in Trumbull County. And every year, it's just like I live trap them. There was one time, when I get a new trap, I test it out on my property, et cetera, et cetera. There was one year that I think I removed 35 chipmunks off of my own property. And you thought, oh, that'll take care of the problem. Nah, a month later, they're still all over the place, and you're just like, wow, that's a lot.
Why are the cute furry ones the ones that are so detrimental, and the creepy, ugly, scaly, gross ones are
good
the ones you
the
that are
villains.
helpful?
We cheer for the villains.
Well,
Aw.
to be honest with you, everything has its part here. Everything plays a role here. Whether it's got scales, feathers, fur, whatever, 4 legs, 2 legs, whatever it is, everything has its place in the ecosystem and it has a purpose. From snakes to bats to deer to squirrels, everything is, obviously squirrels are one of our number one pollinators here in Ohio. They are spreading seeds and planting trees accidentally because they forget where they put that walnut or that or that chestnut or whatever.
Aw.
And that's why we have new trees that are sprouting up.
Yeah.
Bats, obviously, they help with our bugs. They help with pollination. They help with a lot of things, So everything has its purpose here. So whether they're cute or not.
We have a lot of fruit and nut trees on our property, and so like those chipmunks just stay real close to wherever that stuff is.
Right.
So much that I had a peach tree that was real close to the house, and I cut that sucker down, got rid of it because it was just too tempting for every kind of animal to perch around my deck and dig holes all around it. It was crazy. But
I do love seeing the deer. Deer are pretty too. Now I know people feel some kind of way about deer, especially if you've got landscaping that they like to destroy, which I guess I just don't, but
Yeah.
I always thought they
well,
were
what about your
pretty.
feelings on Mill Creek Park and offing some of those when they were getting sick, diseased, malnourished, too friendly with people, hitting cars, all that kind of stuff?
So, man, that's a double-edged sword that I obviously when Luke and Isaac were posting about that a whole bunch, I try to stay clear of that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. If you're talking, a lot of people that were against the calling of those deer, I understand that you like watching those deer. I understand that you don't want to harm animals. That's great. But are you going to exchange that for the facts don't care about your feelings? Wildlife biology says this. Those deer are going to eat themselves out of food. Mm-hmm. They're going to pass diseases back and forth to one another. Again, excuse me, like we were talking about before, it's a bigger picture than just the deer. If they would have ate all of the shrubbery and all of the nuts and everything that they eat out of Mill Creek Park, now there's nothing left for the chipmunks, for the squirrels, for the rabbits, it goes on and on and on. And it's kind of like, do you want to have a healthy number of deer that you can continue to watch? Or do you just want to watch these deer die horribly slow, painful, disease-filled deaths? That's kind of where I was at with it. It's like, I understand you not wanting to actively kill the deer, but at the same time, Mother Nature's going to take care of it regardless if you had professional hunters out there or not. Mother Nature finds a way to say, there's too many deer here, so then now we have CWD or EHD or other diseases and parasites, and then you have no deer,
So I run Mill Creek Park all the time, and you can't walk 10 feet without seeing a deer in the park. And there was about 5 years ago when I ran across the deer, they always had like discolorations on their skin, patches of fur missing. They were scraggly and really looked undernourished.
Right.
After we started doing that stuff out there, when I run across the deer, they look normal. They look like
Healthy.
they're a little bit more healthy than
Yeah.
they once were. And I don't know if that, it's because they thinned it down and there's less competition for food, or they're going deeper into the park and staying away from. I don't know, but it's whatever we're doing is making impact.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It's like I said, I don't want to argue with. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody is entitled to their thoughts. But what I encourage people, because I get calls every day about wildlife, and they say, "Well, I read this or I read that." Check your facts. Get in touch with the ODNR. Get in touch with a wildlife biologist. Make sure that what you're reading and what you're saying and what you're preaching and what you're posting about is factual, not just your feelings, not just emotionally driven. Make sure that it's factual,
So a coyote can take down a deer?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Mainly young deer, like
Okay.
yearlings, newborns, yearlings. To be honest with you, coyotes, they're 90% of their diet is actually rodents. It's mice, to be honest with you. But if they're presented with a free meal that's easy to capture, they're going to take advantage of that. So, yeah, they can take them down.
What other predators do we have here that could take it down a deer and do that naturally?
Bobcat can take down young
Okay.
deer.
Bear?
We do not have that in
Yeah.
Youngstown.
No, we don't have them in Youngstown, but we do have them in Ohio. So bobcat,
Bear?
bear. I'll be honest with you, a bear is. Now this is not wildlife biology fact. They're just like a large raccoon. They're more of a scavenger than they are a hunter. They're gonna eat berries. They're gonna eat fruits. They're gonna eat whatever they can get their hands on.
Because we have black bear here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's vegetation rather than deer.
Yeah.
Again, if there was a scraggly deer that was injured, slow, not well, would they take advantage of that? Yeah, they would. But a black bear is not an agile animal by any stretch of the imagination. They're not going to run miles and miles to chase a deer down like a coyote would,
Have you ever run up on a black bear?
I have actually. I saw one a couple years ago in Hubbard. I was actually doing what is called a bat watch for my clients. They did not tell me. They sent me out there in the dark because I wanted to see where the bats were exiting out of their home, and they had woods in the back of their house. And I hear crunch, crunch, crunch behind me, and I figure, oh, it's just deer. You know?
my God.
Turn around, and there's a 1.5-year-old bear 35 yards away from me. And because it was young, I'm yelling. You know, I'm like, hey, 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 get away. You know, put my strobe light on my flashlight. And this young bear was just more inquisitive, kind of side-eyed me like a cute puppy, you know. And I'm just like, this is interesting. And
Not getting scared. Not.
yeah, this is interesting. And then I go and I knock on their door, and I tell the clients, I'm like, yeah, I figured out where your bat's. And I said, oh, by the way, you have a bear back there. And they go, oh yeah, his name is Steve. And I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
and I'm like, what? You should have
Would have
told me
been
before.
good to know.
You should have told me that before you sent me out the dark. The only thing I'm armed with is a flashlight and a pocket knife. You know, not that the bear would have attacked me, but you know, if you get the only time with a black bear is obviously the cubs and the mothers. You know, in springtime. But it was pretty intense. It was fun. And then I did see tracks, and I can't remember where that was. I had another kid last summer that called me, and he had scratch marks on the side of his house. He goes, something scratched the siding of my house. And he had a little creek beside his house, and in the mud, there was bear tracks. There wasn't a bear, but there was bear tracks there. In Levittsburg, I don't know if you know where that is. Yeah. I remember when that happened, there was a bear there. And it was funny. It was very comical to me because you can't do anything about a bear being there, you know. Somebody called me and said, hey, I'm on this road. There's a bear in my backyard. And I'm like, are the kids, pets, everything locked up, everything safe? Yeah, okay, well, I'll take a picture and just let nature do its thing. 5 minutes later, my phone rings again, and I'm like, let me guess, you're on this road and there's a bear. It was just traveling down the road, and I was like, if it's not stopping, if it's not staying, and if it's not destroying anything, there's no point in calling me or the ODNR.
Pretty slim chance of like being out in your yard and getting attacked by a bear.
Well, we see them all the time in Cook Forest, running through the woods, and when they're really far away from people, they're skittish as hell. Like they will run in the other direction. But you start putting food sources and rivers and whatever close to houses, they behave completely different. They're a different animal completely.
What about coyotes? Are they fairly dangerous to humans?
I'm going to be really honest with you. I'll say this. I'm going to say this. Sorry, I was reading. Do we have cougars around town?
Well, we're going to ask about his crabs because I think he has a crab infestation. We want to make sure we help him with that.
Yeah. So coyotes, this is what I tell everybody to treat every wild animal. Anything with a mouth and teeth and claws can bite you and scratch you. Does that mean that you need to be terrified of them? No. Does that mean that you have to make posts and news headlines of they're coming after your babies and your cats and all that? No. Treat them with respect and stay away from them. You know, that's really where it's at with that. Now, is a coyote going to take on a human? Maybe if it was rabid, maybe if it was sick, maybe if you approached it too closely, maybe if you antagonized it. Are they known for it? No, not really at all. Treat everything with respect, though. I don't care if it's as small as a bat or as large as a black bear. If it's got teeth, it can bite you. You know, if it's in a bad mood. And what the thing is with humans, we don't know. I do, because I see these animals face to face on a daily basis. I know the signs of I'm an okay raccoon, or I'm getting upset with you being in this attic with me. They will make certain noises. They will posture their ears and their face, and they will have different postures that they'll take and say, if you get any closer, you're getting bit, back away. And I learned to respect those signs. Most people are too busy texting on their phone in the park or doing whatever, and they're just not looking up, like I said, wildlife biologically backed information on what do I need to do, you know. But yeah, treat everything with respect. Give it a wide berth if you see it. You know, don't try to get closer to it so you can take an Instagram photo. So,
do we have down south where I was living? We had like cottonmouths and dangerous snakes. Are there dangerous snakes in our area?
Not particularly here, but there is 3 in Ohio. There is the copperhead, the Masaga rattlesnake, and the timber rattlesnake. Okay, that's the 3 that we have here in Ohio. They're not really. Now there is, and I'm in Trumbull County. There has been sightings of timber rattlers. They like swampy Masaga rattlers. They love swampy wetland areas. There's been sightings of both of those in Trumbull and Ashtabula County. I've not heard of any. I'm not saying that they couldn't make it to Mahoning County, but I haven't heard of any sightings. Besides the fake post on Facebook that says, "Hey, I bought this flower pot and there was a rattlesnake in it," you know.
Oh,
jeez. But that's the only 3 that we have here in Ohio.
So typically, if I see a snake, I don't have to wig out, except it is.
No,
it's going to
no.
gross me out, but maybe not be.
Right.
Not aggressive. It'll
Dangerous.
stay away from you probably. It'll stay hidden for the most
The one
part.
that I hear a lot is when somebody sees a snake in the water, oh, it's a moccasin. And it's like every snake is a water snake. Every snake can swim. So
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that they're venomous, you know. It just means that they're in the water swimming. So people
Right.
do freak out and they miss. I get all the time, I get calls for certain species of snakes. And it's funny to me, the size comparison when somebody's afraid of something versus when they're not, you know, everything is an anaconda when somebody calls
Right.
me, you know, and it's like, that was a 4-inch garter snake. Yeah. So.
See, I would call you for a 4-inch garter snake, and I would know that's what
Listen,
it is, and
garter
I would
snakes
still
will
not go
bite
near
you.
it.
They're not. Some of them are aggressive and they stink like hell.
They do?
When they
Smell.
musk, they have a musk that comes out of them. That's one
Oh,
of their
just when I
defenses
think
you
they
grab
couldn't
them.
get
Yep.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
they'll
even know
bite
they
on
were
you. They'll leave
stinky.
little teeth marks on you.
Northern water snakes are the
gross.
ones that I know, and I laugh now. I show up and I have a lot of clients that have water near their homes, and they have northern water snakes. Every time I show up and they go, "I have a snake," and they don't know what it is, I show up and I see that it's a water snake, and I'm like, I'm getting bit today. They are the most aggressive, mean. They're not venomous. They're harmless, but you will feel it. You know, they get pretty big.
Do you have to be like, get it off you? Or
Oh,
I've had to get it off. I mean,
That's
latch
my
on you.
literal
They're
nightmare.
little, so they'll take
I
a
have
finger,
nightmares like
and then
that.
you'll just have a snake on your finger.
I'm not kidding. Actual nightmares of snakes biting me. And
Really?
I'm like, I'll wake up like this. Oh, God.
So as a kid, the big fear was everything was rabid.
Yeah.
Every raccoon was rabid.
Got
Every animal was
rabies.
rabid.
That dog
is
has
it as
rabies.
prevalent as we were once to believe, or is it? Do you run across rabid raccoons?
I've been doing this for 6 years. I have only had 2, and both of them were raccoons. 2 of them test positive for rabies.
Okay.
They were very, very sick. They were showing the signs. But I'm going to tell you right now, we do have a lot of sickness in raccoons and skunks here in Ohio. Over the years that I've been doing this, I would probably say 97%, it's distemper, which is a completely different thing. Humans can't get distemper. It's a completely different disease. One is neurological, where that would be rabies, okay? Whereas distemper affects a bunch of different body parts and a bunch of different systems in their body. Your pets can still get both, okay? So if they're not vaccinated properly, as long as they have their rabies and distemper shots, everything's going to be okay. In all the years, I've gotten a lot of sick animals, unfortunately, that I've had to euthanize. Like I said, 98% of it has been distemper. So
when they do those bait drops, is that effective? Does that help the populations?
this is just me this is my opinion on this, okay? So as a wildlife trapper, okay, I grew up trapping back in the day the old school way, okay? Now, like I said, my mindset has changed because of a lot of variables in life. The whole goal of setting a cage trap on your property, you call me and you say, I have a raccoon. I put marshmallows and grape jelly in that cage. That raccoon goes nowhere near that cage and doesn't care for a week. And you say, hey, what's going on? And then I put sardines in there and say, okay, let's take the marshmallows out. And then we catch the raccoon the next day. Okay. They didn't want those marshmallows that day or that week. With the rabies pellets, and they're just dropping them randomly, I feel like maybe some will eat them, some won't. I have talked to the ODNR, and I've talked to some wildlife biologist friends of mine. I think it would be a lot easier to qualify guys like me when we actually have an animal in our hand or in a cage or on the property. It would be nice. It's not cost effective, unfortunately, for the state or for the nation, but it would be nice for us to actually be able to vaccinate those animals and then release them. The pellets, I don't know what the percentage of what gets eaten and what doesn't. I just know that sometimes they feel like eating something and sometimes they don't. So I don't know how effective it really is, So it's just my theory and my thoughts of just seeing, I watch how animals behave and what they eat, what they don't like, what they don't. And I've seen my difficulty of not being able to, raccoons, like I said, are pretty food-driven animals. And I used to go to clients' houses and be like, easy money, I'll be done with this tomorrow. And 2 weeks later, I've had to change the bait 7 times because I can't figure out what they want. So if they come up on
picky.
those, they get picky sometimes. So I wonder if they see those pellets out in the woods, if they're like,
There's better food.
there's better food around here. There's a creek right here. I'm going to go catch a fish or a frog. I don't need those pellets.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works. So
So let's field Luke's question. I hear there's a concentration of cougars in Canfield, and so your thoughts on the cougar overpopulation?
the cougar overpopulation. I mean, is there really a such thing of being overpopulated?
That's true. We need cougars.
We do need cougars.
They are predators for sure.
They are predators.
They have a place to play, right?
I guess I need more jobs in Canfield because I am single. But
We used to hang out at the fireplace. I don't know if that's still a thing.
But we did have. On a serious note, though, there has been a few more mountain lion sightings. Not in our area, but in Ohio, there has been a few more mountain lion sightings. So, but nope, I have not ran into any cougars in Canfield.
All right, and he also asked about crabs, but I don't know about we all have freshwater around here. I don't think do we have crabs that like freshwater?
I feel like you're going to have to call the free clinic and not a nuisance trapper,
But if you got that call, you would help them out. You would try at least.
I would give them some contacts.
Contacts, okay. Refer them to
refer
a trusted MD for sure.
MD, you might want to get that taken care of. Yeah.
Real question with water, real quick.
Thank you, Luke. I got them both out at one time.
What about snapping turtles? Do we have those here? I've heard those can be really dangerous.
Yes.
Like in swimming pools and stuff when you...
They don't...
Huge snapping turtles.
Like this big?
A little bigger than that.
I have a lot. If you, after we're done here, if you just cruise to my page, I get a lot of calls in summertime for snapping turtles.
Yeah.
They do like to eat, when people stock their ponds with fish, they will decimate your fish population if you have an overabundance of snapping turtles. And people that have livestock, ducks, or poultry ducks, farm people that have ducks and have a pond, I have removed snapping turtles because they have taken the legs off the ducks, or they've taken the ducks completely.
I was going to say, is it
Baby
true they
ducks.
can take a finger off? And
Easily. What I want you to do is go to the Lily Pond in Lake Park. There's at least 6 gargantuan-sized alligator snappers in that pond.
Those would be actually here in Ohio. Those are common snapping turtles. We don't have alligator snapping turtles. Those are down south, like Georgia, Florida, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've heard of those.
Huge. And I'm sure they're decimating that fish population in that small pond, right?
Sure they are. Now I'm interested. I'm not saying that we don't have them naturally. They're not native here, but if somebody put an alligator snapping turtle,
take a look.
Oh
I'd be interested to see
God.
if somebody released a pet that got a little too big in there. They do
They're
the painted
like,
turtles,
nope.
and so there's a lot of domesticated turtles in that pond.
right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hi, Josh. We had a possum living under our breezeway this winter. Are they destructive?
To be honest with you, that's like the least destructive animal that we have in Ohio. They just kind of hang out. Like they're not a digger, they're not a biter, they're not a rodent like we were talking about chipmunks, squirrels, anything on the mice, rats, anything that's a rodent. They have to chew every day because that's how they keep their teeth at a level where they can function properly and not overgrow their teeth. Possums,
I've heard they don't carry rabies.
they don't carry rabies because their core temperature isn't high enough. They can contract it, but it dies in them. So where they can't carry it. Because
Yeah.
They
core
eat
temperature.
bugs. All these bug eaters are amazing for your
That's
breezeway.
another one where to me they're ugly. I would be like, but I'd be like, okay, just don't let me see you and go get the bugs.
Now, I will say this. So let's talk about that because I heard this is something that you just said that I hear quite a lot is the number one thing that I've heard, and it just, as a wildlife guy, it just kind of annoys me a little bit, is they eat ticks. They eat ticks. The myth of that is they did one study where all they did was present these possums with ticks. Of course, if that's your only option,
You eat the ticks.
that's what you're going to eat. Okay, that is not the number one thing. I mean, if you think about a tick, And for an animal that has to survive on a daily basis in the wild, to just seek out ticks when there's garbage, when there's berries, when there's fish, when there's dead things.
So they'll scavenge anything.
They'll scavenge
Okay.
anything. The tick thing is definitely a myth.
Possums are
Okay.
like, oh my God,
Myth
he
busted.
ticks one
Myth busted.
time.
I will. And the other thing too is they're a fur-bearing animal, so any fur-bearing animal is going to carry ticks or fleas.
Ugh.
They will clean themselves. I'm not saying that they're a dirty animal, but they will clean themselves. And if they can get to the tick, they'll take the tick off. But there's a lot of times when I handle animals on a daily basis that I see ticks directly on them. And it's like, okay. And if those ticks drop off in your yard, if those fleas drop off in your yard, and then you let your dog outside, now your dog gets them. If
Have
they're not
you ever
treated,
gotten ticks
all
doing
the time.
this?
I've had ticks on me all the time.
What is the best way? I've heard I've had a tick one time, and I literally just I freaked out, and it was right here on my arm, and I gave my arm to my husband. I was like, talk about something else. Talk about something else. Like, I gotta calm down. And he's trying to get it off. But I've heard you light a match or
I've
tweezers.
I've done them all. I've just yanked them out. I put light a match and put it on there. That really, it doesn't make, if their head is in under your skin, all you're doing is burning their body. You're not really getting the head out. I've had them, because I grew up in the woods a lot. My whole family is hunters and trappers and fishers and stuff so I've been in the woods since I was a kid. And we've had ticks all the time. And we just kind of pluck them out with a pair of tweezers, take the head out if it's underneath of the skin.
Well,
they do make those tick tools now that you can get at camping stores.
Mm-hmm.
I've never tried them.
How serious is the concern with ticks and Lyme disease and things of that
My
nature?
aunt got bit on a horse farm
Yeah?
by a tick, and she contracted Lyme disease.
So it is pretty prevalent?
Oh,
Yeah.
it
yeah.
happens.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
That's
it's definitely
scary.
happened.
Yeah, I've never had one attached, but when we go out in the woods, you're always searching to make sure, because
Oh,
they're
yeah.
usually just crawling around trying to find a
Yeah.
place to situate themselves. But I've never been latched onto.
Ooh,
No.
I've had one.
No,
My
that's not
husband
fun.
has. Now, this is down south, so I don't know if I've heard they're just as prevalent here, but
Oh yeah,
Ugh,
we've had
gross
some
me out.
rough years, and the thing is I have a buddy of mine. He's actually another nuisance trapper, and we don't compete. We collaborate. We talk. We give each other work all the time. He's a really cool guy. He was out doing a job for somebody, I want to say 3 weeks ago, and came out of the field and had a tick on him from. I don't know if it was from one of the animals he captured or if it was just for walking through the tall
Wow.
grass. They don't always necessarily, if they got a place to stay warm, they're not dying off, so. But again, I'm not a bug guy. I'm not a super bug expert by any means. It's one thing that I don't have an interest in, As pest control, there's a lot of great people out there that do what they do. Going around with a sprayer on my back is just not fun for me. It's more exciting to be stuck in an attic with a raccoon or a bat or
Exciting.
grabbing snakes. I like doing what I do. Going around and just spraying for bugs is it's boring to me.
Yeah.
So,
What about the small? Do you guys handle things like mice and rats, or do
Yeah,
you? Yeah,
absolutely.
And is it a big problem?
Oh, it's in Northeast Ohio, pretty much. I can only speak about our area. This is what I tell everybody. I don't care how clean you are. I don't care if your house is a brand new mansion or if you just built it last year. I don't care if it's a century-old home or anything in between. I've gone into thousands of people's attics and thousands of people's homes. There has not been one single attic that I've gone into that has been mouse-free. It's just that's living in the area that we live in and the population of mice.
the field mice, those little
Yep.
field mice.
That's it. There's
They're
so
kinda
yeah, it's a
cute.
problem. It's a problem, and yeah, people can call me and I can help them out with that for sure. Yep.
Somebody had said, where did it go? Bat droppings were toxic or poisonous or whatever. Is that true?
Histoplasmosis is the number one thing. Yeah, it's really, really bad.
And you want that in your house on purpose.
it's great fertilizer though.
Outside of the house,
But
not
what if
in the
you
house.
touch it or something, or it gets on something, or can it kill you?
Oh, yeah, you have to breathe. So if it's up in your attic, you got to think about the structure of your home. Your attic is circulating that air in your home every day, and yeah, it's very, very. I do attic restorations, clean outs for bat jobs, and I'm in a full hazmat suit, respirator, everything, because it will. What histoplasmosis does is it gets in your lungs and it shuts down your lungs, and you will die. So
This was in my old house. It's a good thing we didn't have central air in that house.
yeah,
Dang,
it's
when
very,
I was a
very
kid,
dangerous.
no
Yep.
wonder.
Can you let people know not to feed the wildlife in an area like deer? A huge problem in my neighborhood on the west side near Mill Creek Park.
So there's a post that I can direct them to if they follow my page, Sauner Solutions Nuisance Wildlife Removal. Just about a month ago, I made a post concerning people that feed wildlife and think that they're helping and they're actually hurting. Specifically, the ones that I made were about corn. Okay, corn is not sustainable. That is not the only thing. They're a grazing animal. They might eat in a cornfield, but then they're also stopping to eat other plant life as well. They can't just eat a bunch of corn. It's actually really, really bad for them. And you have to think about what you're doing. Whether it's a bird feeder or a corn pile for deer, you're baiting, whether you're hunting or you're just watching, it doesn't matter. You're baiting those animals to come to a certain area for a purpose. What can that do? If you're in a Mill Creek Park area, like, that comment says, how many roads does that deer have to cross? So now you've jeopardized not only the deer's life, but you've jeopardized a person in an automobile's life as well. So,
yeah, and it can't be nutritious as them
Yeah.
grazing, so it's
No.
not good for them.
No.
It baits them into areas, and they bring their friends. They'll
Yep.
pass on the hard meal, the grazing. For the easy meal, it's a pile of corn.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, it really messes them up. And I've talked about this a lot. A lot of people don't like hearing what I have to say on my page because I talk to wildlife biologists. I talk to ODNR. I talk to people that are, college educated and specialize in these type of things. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea to keep piles of anything, especially one thing.
How about like right after Halloween, you always hear people say, "Oh, throw your old pumpkins in the woods for the deer."
That's good. Now, that's okay to mix it up every once in a while. Like I said, if it's the habitual feeding every single day and having food out there for them every single day. If you throw some corn or some seed or some pumpkins out there every once in a while, but again, that factor still remains the same. You're baiting them to go get those pumpkins. You just have to
Yeah.
make sure, is it safe for travelers? Is it safe for the deer? Because if it's not,
Yeah, I'd like to see
Yeah.
the deer keep really deep into the woods, as deep as they can get, rather than being on the roadways and
Yes.
those houses that butt right up against the woods.
Oh, I've
Right.
almost
That's a
hit
dangerous
it.
spot for them.
I've come so close to hitting deer. My mom, I think she hit 3 deer last fall, something like that. It was
Holy crap.
insane. Yeah. We're like, stay off the road. It was all the time. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand. It's fun to watch animals. That's why I love doing what I do for a living, but you've got to really really study hard on what's right and what's wrong. And that's a big part of why sometimes I feel like that's why I don't get a lot of notice on my page, is because I'm saying a lot of stuff that is fact, not feeling. And people get bummed out about that really quick. They're
They
like,
want
"Oh,
you to just
yeah."
affirm
Yeah.
what they feel about
Yeah,
the,
and
the little
it
critters.
became political for some reason. Instead of just letting scientists and specialists do their thing,
Right.
the public gets involved and think they know better, and
Right.
it's an emotional draw, like you said.
Yeah.
And it becomes very unpopular to say, hey, if you have a fishing lake or something like that, you got a bunch of geese that are crapping everywhere, causing diseases. You got to weigh that you got one bad thing, which is disease
Right.
in people, and you got another bad thing that you might have to, kill off some geese. Neither are great. You wish you
No.
didn't have to do either one of them.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's going to be a smart one and a dumb one.
Or like
Right.
you said, a lot of them you can't rehome, so it's
Yep.
I'll remove that, but I have to kill it. And they're like,
Yep.
why is that the only option? Well, it is, because it's nature, and that is. And
Yeah, and the thing is, like I said, science and wildlife biology they have studied their whole lives, long before we were all alive. They've been studying what works, what doesn't work. Do I disagree with some things? Absolutely. But, when they make it a law, I got to follow the laws. That's why I try to get animals to just move it along on their own without having to handle the situation. And
So
You know.
why does it happen with these introduction of species, like what they did with the wolves out in Yellowstone? It theoretical, but didn't a biologist say, hold up, let's give this some more research to find out if they're not going to be a dominating species and be just as bad as not having natural predators?
I agree with what that guy says. I really feel like I just saw something pop up on WKBN the other day about the elk. They're thinking about, now you got to think about an ecosystem, like let's just focus on not Yellowstone, but our state. How long have we been here without elk? and how long have all these other animals, plant life, water, etc. How has that, you know, evolved and adapted to not having elk here? And now, if you look back at the date that we last had elk in Ohio, how long that's been, I'm not sure, to be 100% honest with you. But then all of a sudden, we just reintroduce them and hope everything's going to be okay. Just like the wolf thing in Yellowstone,
Right.
you're like, let's take some time to really study this and make sure everything is going to be okay, and then we're not affecting. To bring one species in, we're affecting 30 other species.
Right.
You know,
Who now compete with things that's lived here
Right.
all along.
Exactly.
Now that the elk population, like an hour east of us, is that introduced or is that natural?
what parts?
This is sort of on the fringes of the Cook Forest. It's a little bit.
Oh, in PA?
Yeah.
They've been there for quite a while. I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I pretty much just kind of hone in on Ohio.
Got it.
I'm not sure how long they've been there. I'm not sure if they were introduced or not. So I would have to look into that, to be
Okay.
honest with you. But yeah, I know PA has a population. Kentucky has a population. And I know Kentucky's, they've had theirs for a very long time, you know. So
Yeah, and they manage it well.
Right.
The hunting that they do and really curating that population. I think
Right.
if we set models of other states that are, you know, like Mill Creek Park that have the same kind of problems, figure out what they did and didn't do, and kind of learn into it rather than letting this cluster happen that we have
Right.
here.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. I mean, it's just, let's take the time and really study all the variables of what can go wrong if we reintroduce a population of whatever type of animal it is, you know. So
Deborah says, the only thing I feed are birds. Squirrels benefit from the seed, but I don't deliberately feed them. Is that okay?
Squirrels are cool. I like squirrels.
Feed the birds and then feed the squirrels?
Yeah,
and
they rob the bird feeder for sure.
those little gnat squirrels. They're thieves.
so seed, let's talk about that really quick. I'm sorry, I'm reading her post. Certain seeds, this is what I was just talking about this recently too. There's a lot of seed that is great for birds. There's a lot of seed that is bad for birds. There's a lot of brands, there's a lot of bags that have filler in them, you know, and I equate everything to, again, my specialty is native Ohio wildlife. So if you are feeding birds, let's make sure that you're feeding them seeds that are actually native here to Ohio, that may
yeah.
not come from a different country or a different, you know, place, a different land. You know, things that we have here are, you know, thistle and pumpkin seeds, and, you know, sunflowers grow here naturally. Different, you know, there's different things. So that's the one thing that I encourage people to do, is really study on the birds that you're having come to your property, and, you know, take the time to study on what they eat naturally when there's not a bird feeder involved, you know, because they're not eating certain seeds that people are putting out, and it can be really actually harmful to their bodies and harmful to their life if you give them the wrong stuff. As far as the squirrel portion of her post, they do make, and they're pretty awesome. There's a couple different things you can do. They make bird feeders that are, the bottoms are almost like a false bottom. They're weighted, so when a squirrel's weight gets on the bird feeder, it shuts the door, and they can't feed from it anymore. And it's really cool. The other option that you have is they do make, you can make it yourself, but they also market it already. Spicy bird seed and spicy suet cakes has that capsaicin again that we were talking about. Birds cannot register spicy. Capsaicin is not a thing that they can register with their palate, you know, with their
Wow.
tongue. But every other animal, deer, squirrel, raccoons, possum, skunk, everything likes bird seed, everything. But that spicy mix, it really actually helps deter other animals other than birds. Because, you know, when a bird gets on a feeder, what do? They flop it around all over the bird feeder, and then it's on the ground.
Right.
So then at night, you've got your possums, your skunks, your raccoons, whatever. And during the day, you're going to have your birds and your squirrels. If you don't want the squirrels there, use the spicy mix. Or spend the extra dollars, spend the extra money, and get those squirrel-proof feeders. Not the posts, not the poles, not any of the wacky stuff.
cool.
You know, the actual feeders that close from the weight of a squirrel. You know.
So I got this question. See if you could have done this any different, because this was not a great scenario. Went to light my fireplace one spring. I think it was spring. and I heard chirp, 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 chirp up in the chimney, right?
Oh, no.
And I was like, crap. And somebody came in and said that there was like chimney swifts. Does that sound right?
Yes.
And
protected,
And
federally protected.
they told me that you can't do anything about it. You
Nope.
just got to wait till their nesting is done, and they fly off, and then cap that sucker super
Yep.
quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
I get people that call me all the time, and the best thing that I do to save people money, record. You know the noise.
Oh, yeah.
It's a horrific noise.
It is.
It is a
I pissed them
awful
off
bird noise.
so bad.
And they're federally protected by the Migratory Bird Act. Okay, they come all the way from Peru to here in Ohio to nest, and then once the babies are old enough to fly, they leave and they go back to Peru. I cannot touch them. I can't do anything. You know, I can't. That's it.
So if you
I
lit
tell-
your fireplace and it killed them, that's a crime.
I'm going to jail for sure.
100%. If you
Wow.
know now accidents, they might have some leniency on you, but if you say, "Oh, I'm so tired of hearing these chimney swifts," light the fire, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
Same with bats.
Yeah.
Bats are super protected. The only thing I can do this time of the year right now is actively get them out of a living space. Like the one that I said I was going to bring today
Yeah.
was in a guy's basement, and then it got up into his living room. So I'm legally allowed. Now I have to get a hold of my rehabber friend and take the bat to a bat rehabber. But they're protected until April. I'm not allowed to do any kind of bat exclusion work on any home until April.
Wow.
And then it shuts down. For their pup season because they have babies. So the reason, obviously, for that is the babies can't fly. Yeah, they're just flopping around. They're tiny, cute little things. I can get the adults to fly out, but now we've just killed protected
The babies,
species. The
yep.
babies are going to be left behind, so
Yeah.
they shut down the season until August. So,
Oh, my aunt has a cottage up at Lake Erie, and there's a tree next door that has an eagle's nest. And you see eagles flying around. I've heard you can't do anything about that.
you don't
I'm
want to
sure.
be within. I want to say it's like you can't be within 500 yards or 500 feet. You're not supposed to be in that area at all. Like, you
Wow.
can't-
Now, if they set up shop in your backyard and they're close to your,
Yeah,
your
I mean,
house,
there are
like what the hell do you do?
several houses
you gotta
in
call.
this
Well,
area.
if it's on your own property, you would just have to call the ODNR so they can monitor and stuff like that. But if it's on your own property, it just is what it is.
Right.
But if you are at a lake, like I live near a mosquito lake or whatever, you can't go messing around. You can't even pick up a feather.
I
Like,
heard that.
If you walk,
It's illegal to have
Really?
an eagle feather.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can't.
I didn't know
pick up
that.
a feather. You can't do anything with an eagle. They don't want you to mess with them at all. So
How about there is a tree in the neighborhood across from where I live, and there are a ton of ugly buzzards. Like, can you get rid of that? Are they? Those things are
Are
disgusting.
you by a highway?
No.
No?
Well, it's Cala Road. I think it's considered like a state road. It's not like a busy highway, but it's a state road.
you could get away from.
But this
that
is like
perch.
right off of that.
You can discourage them from being there from having that tree taken down. But honestly, buzzards are, again, everything has its place in wildlife. They're the cleanup crew.
Yeah.
Every roadkill, everything that's
Which helps with the skunks, I guess.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Ugh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we got a bunch where we are too, and they circle
Yeah.
all day long cleaning up the side of the roads. So
Yeah.
the busier the street, the more food that you have, and
That
Yeah.
could be
There you
why
go.
they're close. It is
Yeah, oh,
a
yeah.
fairly busy street.
Yeah, they are, and everybody has their taste. We have, like I said, I'm in Trumbull County, and we have the turkey vultures, and we have the black vultures and stuff like that. I don't mind them; they're cool. They just every once in a while they're hovering around my house because I'm surrounded by woods and swamp, and they're always looking for something. But to deter them off, like I said, you would have to get rid of their perch. You'd have to get rid of that, and do you really want to do that? Probably not.
Yeah.
So, yep.
How about this for earlier we were saying, fact versus fiction and wives' tales. Any truth to certain animals that if you go near them, their mothers won't come back for them? Like your scent is somehow
Yeah.
on them. Have you guys
I
heard
saw
that?
it light up when you asked that. This is gonna
Yeah,
be good.
you always hear that with like baby deer or something of that nature.
Just like No, it's so much myths that we were told from our grandparents.
That's like, I'm so glad to hear that. Because you always hear their mother won't come back.
I
Bunnies.
grew up bringing stuff home. That's how I got in it. Like literally, I grew up in a very small town. The only thing I did is drop my book bag off, go into the woods, and in spring and summer specifically, I had a new pet crow. I had a turtle. I had a snake.
Baby bunnies,
baby raccoons, whatever I can grab. Now I am paid to tell people, don't do that. Don't touch that
You
stuff.
kidnapped them?
Yeah. So, and you know what? I would study them. And like because my family.
Studying
All
this.
boys did that. He's not alone.
No, all
Kidnap
boys
the
did that. All
babies.
boys.
Did you put them back?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
we
good.
never caged them. It was kind of it was something that like, let me see their behavior. Let me see how they are. Let me feed them for a little bit. Let them. And the woods was right across the street, so we would let them hang out. They would come and go as they please. But the bird thing, any animal, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. They are not going to abandon them. Should you touch them?
Oh,
Should you handle them? No,
good.
you
That's
shouldn't.
good.
Just for other obvious reasons, you shouldn't be handling baby wildlife unless it's injured and you're taking it to a rehabber, or unless you're taking it off of your property.
Well,
But no.
here's a scenario. Like, would you rather this version of it? So
No.
we had lots of cats in our neighborhood, fields that had pretty high grass, and there was a cat that killed the mother bunny, ate the mother bunny. So there was a bunch of 5 or 6 bunnies that are below the grass, just denned up. They got hit by someone mowing the lawn. So if you had an abandoned baby, would you not rather him come along and at least take it away from something that would be dangerous?
If you know it's abandoned. Like, what if the mother's just out
Well,
getting
he's not
food?
fighting off a rabbit to take their babies.
Well,
He
maybe
can
like
go
the mom
around.
went to get food and then comes back and her babies are gone.
In
That's
the scenario
sad.
in the scenario that you were talking about, if mom is out of the picture and there's one baby left over, the best thing that you could do is get a hold of your local wildlife rehabber, like the
Call
one.
you?
No, I'm not a rehabber.
Oh.
So I want to be, but Birds in Flight is in Canfield. Birds in Flight is in Canfield. I have a great friend in Akron that has Cloverfield Wildlife Rescue. Those are the type of people, if you have an abandoned baby and 110% that mom is out of the picture, because I get this all spring and summer long, people will see a baby and instantly, I got to save it. I got to rescue it. I'm taking it in the house. And it's like, when it's mom's coming back and looking for it and you have it in the house,
Yeah.
you're disrupting the whole cycle of everything right now.
Yep.
Leave it alone until 110% that mom is out of the picture,
Yeah.
and then you take it, and then you have to call. There is, again, kind of certain wildlife rehabbers, there's laws and regulations for them too. There's some animals they're allowed to take. There's some animals that you're not allowed to take. Like the bat that I got last night, I have to take it all the way to Akron because that's the only person around here that will take bats, that handles bats. Some people, and it might be personal preference, I'm not sure. I don't talk to a whole lot of other rehabbers other than Birds in Flight and then Cloverfield. Some people maybe just don't want to specialize in certain animals, but the bats are like, I have one person for bats.
What do you do if you trap it and the place it needs to go is not open till morning? Does it
Then you have
stay
a
in your
friend for a
truck?
little while.
You have a friend for a few hours. Yeah. Just got to make sure. If it's a baby animal, at least try to call the ODNR, at least try to get a hold of a rehabber. And if they say, hey, I'm not there, I can't get there, at least get as much information, like, hey, what temperature does it, what kind of blanket, everything that you need to possibly know for that animal survival. So that way you're not just throwing it in a crate or a box and hoping for the best and then it passes away through the night. You got to know everything is different. Like, I did a thing about bats the other day because people were like, well, what if I don't want to call you? Okay, well, don't use loop stitching like a towel, because if you put a towel over a bat, they have little toes, and they have their thumbs is what they're called, but they're little claws on the wings,
Yeah.
And now, because they're so tiny and so thin and so frail, that thing is stuck to the towel. Now you've broken toes, you've broken wings.
Like Velcro.
Yeah, it's like Velcro, and you don't want to do that, So just make sure that you're getting actual facts whenever you're handling babies or any wildlife.
Are you allowed to keep native species as like pets in a collection that are not endangered?
Like, if you're like, mine now.
So I know with the only thing that I can speak on is you would have to talk to the ODNR, and I know that there would be special permits involved. I know specifically with raccoons and skunks. they have to come from a actual, I believe it's either USDA or FDA approved, or it might be both, breeder of domesticated raccoons.
You can't just open your door and say,
Yeah, you can't just
come in, Frank.
Yeah,
on,
you
brother.
can't. Yeah, you can't harbor actual wildlife. Like if you had baby like you just talked about that rabbit. Okay, that cottontail rabbit is what we have here in Ohio. If you took it in your house and you said, "Oh, now I have Thumper. I'm keeping it forever,"
Yeah.
can't do that. You can't do that. Wildlife is meant to stay in the wild. Now you would have to call the ODNR about. There's falconry. It's weird because there's people that do falconry. They're part of their whole be a part of my crew thing is you have to go find your own falcon. You have to take it out of the nest and do
Oh,
it. Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, you have to it's pretty interesting.
Go
It's
get
pretty-
it
But those people that
yourself.
I know that do that, they take so good care of those birds.
Oh,
They
I
are
know.
living the perfect life
Yeah,
outside of that
absolutely.
nest.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's
Yeah.
really, really cool.
Reptiles were real bad about people who are enthusiasts. They would go out in the wild, grab a couple of turtles out of a pond, and keep it as pets
Right.
and whatever. There were a couple protected species like spotted turtles. I think one soft shell or something like
Right,
that.
right.
That they would go after them, but they were kind of turned a little bit of a blind eye to taking some of these other species out.
Like I said, same thing. When I was a kid, I grew up in a small town. I could have had a pet black bear and nobody would have known because where I lived. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are going to do. I know the laws, I know the wildlife biology, but what you do on your own home and your own property, that's really none of my business. I just know what's best for wildlife.
Like,
you know?
who's
Stay
going to
out
know if you opened your door to a
Right,
little
right, exactly.
raccoon or baby
So-
bunny?
Deborah said, I do use one feeder that closes with weight, but they are much more expensive. Also, there are squirrel baffles. They're usually effective, but squirrels are very persistent and sometimes figure it out. They're
And
smart.
she tried
They
the
are
hot
su-
pepper seed.
They
she
are
says.
super smart. So the thing is, though, I tell everybody, like I said about black pepper and cayenne pepper, if that's not working, amp up the spice. There's crazy peppers out there now. If you can find ghost pepper, scorpion pepper, whatever these wild, crazy peppers are, the hotter the better.
Don't touch your eyes.
Yeah, don't touch your eyes at all.
Have
ever
you
watch that-
done that?
Did you guys ever see that Mark Rober video where he set up a obstacle course for squirrels to see what they could figure out?
Yeah, I saw it.
Amazing to see what they can get away
I think
with.
my husband watched that on YouTube or something. I was like, we need to find a job, buddy. Like, we're watching. He retired and then got really into squirrels for a while, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, they can figure stuff out. Like I've had those people that get squirrels and raccoons. They'll get those cones around the bird feeder. They'll figure it out. I've seen people that I know people that hunt and have deer feeders on their property, and they spin and they throw corn or seed or soybeans or whatever out. And those raccoons will literally climb the pole and they'll stand on each other's shoulder like a cartoon.
Aww.
And they'll spin the feeder so the stuff comes out.
cute.
So smart.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a combination. I know it gets expensive for people, but sometimes it's a combination of the spicy seed plus the feeder plus the baffles plus whatever you got to do. There is a simple trick, and it's actually free entertainment, but it's not long lasting. If you have a shepherd's hook, if you put Crisco on it, the white Crisco oil on there, they'll just slide down the pole. Raccoons can't climb it, squirrels can't climb it. But of course,
That would be so fun.
They try though.
they will try. They will try. They will try. The Crisco does work, but of course, after so many attempts, and again, you're going to get dirt on it. And once you get dirt and grit and grime, they can get a grip. So you're going to have, that's something that you're going to have to habitually do every couple of weeks is go put Crisco oil on your bird feeder, but it does work. I have seen it work. and
Gotta
it
go
is
grease up my
entertaining.
feeder.
What Deborah said is they're persistent. Is they don't figure out that this is not happening, and they will try infinitely. They don't they're like, I tried 4 times, and I'm just gonna slide back down. They don't figure
This
that part
is
out.
just a
No.
slippery one, but I'm going to get it.
No, yeah, they are super persistent. Super persistent.
What is
yeah.
the worst bite you've ever had? Have you been bitten a lot?
Last May? Was that last May or the May before? A raccoon bit me.
Ow.
And out of all the bites that I've taken, it was the worst, I would say. It wasn't horrible. And the thing is, this is how nutty I am about wildlife. This is how much I love it. I can tell the difference in her bite. I normally knock aggressively on an attic access door. That way, if there's something near it, they scamper away from it. I could hear the babies on one end. So I figured maybe she'll be close to the babies, or maybe she's out feeding right now. I bang, 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 and this is crazy to me. I never met a raccoon like this. She laid in wait. Bang, 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 bang. Nothing. I don't hear
Waited for
I don't
you.
hear a peep. Normally, I wear bite-proof gloves. This is my 11th call of the day. It's in the height of baby season. I'm just like, I want to get this job over with.
Oh.
I push the attic access up.
Boom.
She grabs a hold of my hand, but she did not tear. She didn't rip. She just held me there.
Gave you a warning shot.
And she was just like, my babies are up here. You need to back off, you know? And so that was the worst one, but it wasn't bad. I'll tell you what sucked was the shots that I got after. That hurt. And it wasn't even the rabies shots. It was, I had teeth. You could see a little bit. I have the teeth marks and scars on my hands. They had to put shots around every open wound, whatever that was. And I told that nurse, I was like, that was worse than the raccoon biting me. I'm like, this is horrible, you know? But luckily, rabies shots used to be like 21 shots. Then it went down to 11. Now they've got it down to 4, luckily. So
21?
It used to be back in the day. It used to be like all in your belly. It would be 21
Holy
shots.
cow.
And then it was 11 or whatever. But now it's just 4 shots that I had to go for. And the thing with that is, I almost knew 100%, 99%, I'll say, that raccoon wasn't sick. If it was sick, it wouldn't have babies up there. It was healthy. I've seen the raccoon on my client's camera. You know, I've seen it on, I had a trail camera set up. But here's the thing with rabies in humans. If you start to show symptoms, it's too late.
Yep.
There's no reversing it. You're dead.
Yep.
So
Oh my God.
even though I'm like, yeah, it's probably okay, I'm like, I don't want to die over a raccoon, so I might as well just go get the shots, you know? So
I have a similar story.
Wow.
I have my effed up finger. This came from a squirrel, courtesy of a squirrel.
Oh,
so
no.
A squirrel. Well, I was 10 years old. So a squirrel fell off of the power lines, and when it hit the ground, it lost the use of its back legs, and so you had this thing just kind of clawing at the ground. So I took a box and picked it up and took it home and put it in a blanket. I brought it in my house, right? Because
Oh
I'm
my
stupid.
God.
I'm 10 years old though, and so I'm like, I started calling. I had this guy that went to our church that he deals with wildlife. I was like, "What do you do with it?" And he was like, "There's nothing you can do with it. No one's gonna rehab a squirrel. Take it out to the woods, put it out." And while I'm on the phone with this dude, the thing comes out of shock, right? And now, even though it has no use of its back legs, it jumps out of the box and it's clawing itself with its front legs
my
around my living room.
God.
And I'm like, I got to get this thing in the box. And I went to grab for it. It turned around and it put its teeth straight through my nail and finger, right? Sliced my finger right in half. And I did end up getting it, cornered it with the box, and I am just blood's going everywhere. Same thing. I had to go. They wanted to test it for rabies, but they said they really couldn't wait for the test to come back to do treatment. So I had to do both.
Yeah.
And the shots were absolutely horrific. Not a great
Are
how
start.
you
many
really
did you get?
10?
When was it? How many years ago was that? When
You
you
know,
were a kid?
it was a lot. I don't
a
remember
lot,
how many
yeah.
of them, but there were ones that they did here. There was one that they did like under my armpit,
Right.
or something like that. So
Right.
there were a lot. And they were not fun ones.
Did they
at
just
all.
bandage it, or what did they have to do with the wound?
Well, they had to suture up my nail, where they had to glue the nail and then suture this big mark across the part of my finger. But I'm telling you, it was a 1-inch bite straight through my finger.
Was your mom freaking out?
I had blood everywhere on the living room. It looked like a murder scene.
That's why I'm like, my son is 10, and if this happened to him, I would freak out. Ooh, I
So,
would wig
kids,
out.
the moral of this story is leave it alone.
Leave
Call
wildlife
an
alone.
experienced person that deals with
Right.
this every day, because you would have
Absolutely.
not had the same strategy that I had, right?
No, but you know, when you're a kid, though, like you said, at 10 years old, I would have done the same thing, you know. And I will say, to answer the question, go back to what you're saying about my worst bites, I probably had more scary close calls than I've had bites. Like, I've been bitten by a ton of snakes. It's just
It's part of the gig.
It's just part of the game. It is what it is. I've had birds peck me, you know, and that's
Yeah.
uncomfortable, but not a big deal. But I've had some ones, like you were talking about that squirrel, Lieutenant Dan, you know, with its back legs.
Yeah.
You know.
Lieutenant Dan.
So,
That should have been his name. That would have been amazing had that movie come out.
but
Lieutenant Dan.
I've had some sick animals, and I've showed up, and they're like, "Oh, it's just been curled up in a ball." And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go do what I got to do.
Oh God.
And then they have that last surge of like, I'm going to fight till I die.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been some close calls where I'm like, oh man, they've bit my boot. They've bit my pant legs. You know, they've grabbed a hold of me. And I'm like, if in that scenario though, I just feel bad. I'm like, oh, like this is your last battle. You
Right,
know,
right.
like,
Yeah.
you know,
like
but-
how do you get it off? If something bites you, like the raccoon, how do you get it off of you? You have to just.
Man, I feel bad telling a story, but this was just me defending myself.
Yeah, it's survival.
So it had a hold of me like this. So I had to reach with my other fingers, and I grabbed a hold of its ear, and I pulled, kind of like if you're correcting a dog or something like that. I grabbed a hold of its side of its face and its ears, and I just squeezed with these 4 fingers as tight as I could on its ear, and pulled her down almost out of the attic, mind you. And I pulled her down until she started to squeal. And when she made that noise, obviously she had to let go of me to make that noise. And then I let her go. And then that was
Their
it.
mouths are
But
like cats, right? Like you can kind of push on the
you
side and
could,
separate
yeah,
the teeth,
you could.
probably.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, I'm on a 10-foot ladder. I'm on a 10-foot ladder.
yeah.
The attic access is just as wide as my shoulders. I can't even get my other hand up there to do anything with my other hand because the raccoon is taking up all the access. My hand is up there this far, so the only thing I did was grab a hold of her, pulled her until it made her uncomfortable.
That's
and then
pretty
she finally,
smart.
Yeah. So
I might
How-
have just flailed.
How much would you pay for that video footage?
Oh,
Had there
man.
been cameras, that would have been a sight.
I probably wouldn't have to work anymore. It'd probably be viral. Like it'd been on America's Funniest Home Videos, you know. I mean, and you know the funny thing is, hopefully he sees this later. He's on my business page. The young man, house that I was at, he started following my page, and he's a good friend of mine now. He left. He bolted.
I would have been like,
Yeah.
good luck, dude.
Him and his cousin were in the house together. Mind you, they both had sidearms on them. You know, and I don't really care that they didn't, you know, harm the raccoon, but I'm like, I turn around, I fall off the ladder. That's what hurt the worst.
Oh, my
The bite was like
God.
whatever, but I had fell and hurt my shoulder really bad. I
They
turn around
abandoned you.
and they were out, and they were like,
What?
Nope, we're out. They're like, we don't do
Whoa.
animals.
Oh my
So-
God. You were like, thanks, guys. Could you, not that you would, and maybe it's like, where's the line for just the hazard of the job and you like suing someone because you got hurt?
So that was
on a
my
job.
own. That was my own decision to do that. I would never. That's like something. Anytime I get into an attic with a wild animal, anytime I'm on your roof, anytime I'm on your property, I'm the person that has decided to make this my career. So
Yeah.
I expect the unexpected all the time.
And you're dealing with
You know,
wild
and I'm
animals,
dealing
and
with
you,
wild
you're
animals.
dealing with so many that the law of averages
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
catches up,
Yeah,
and you're going to get nipped
bit.
at.
Yeah, you're gonna get bit. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna fall off of the ladder. You're gonna, you know, these are things that are just gonna happen. You know, I've been very fortunate in 6 years. It's, you know, that was not the only wild animal bite, but that was the worst case scenario for me. You know, I'm in some sketchy stuff all the time. You know, and things could go south anytime. But to make it the homeowner's responsibility, nah, I would never do that. You know, it's just like it's part of my job.
This
you
might
know.
be a dark, creepy
Oh,
question.
bring it.
I
Bring
don't know
it.
why I go there, but I've heard, whether it's in a scenario of like wildlife or really multiple scenarios, that the feeling of being hunted is very alarming. Like you said, you've been in sort of crazy situations. Have you ever been like, I'm actually kind of scared right now, where I'm really uncomfortable in this situation?
One comes to mind that I can laugh out now.
Now it's funny.
Now it's funny, but it wasn't funny at the time.
Oh God.
My cousin, who her name is Chelsea, she's about 90 pounds sopping wet. She likes to help me. She
Oh.
actually, believe it or not, I told you I love bats. The very first bat call that I ever got for my company, Chelsea, you got to get this bat because I'm not touching this thing. I was like, not doing it,
Wow.
not doing it. And she went and got the bat for me. You know, I was with her. She found it. She got it. She has birds. She has a farm and all that stuff like that. I'm like, I didn't like flighty things at the time. I didn't like birds. I didn't like bats. And then I just fell in love with them actually after handling that first bat, because we took it home and we assessed it. And I'm like, oh, this isn't as scary as I thought it was. This is pretty cool. But we were in an attic together, mom with babies, raccoon. And I was going to have a catch pole. I was going to catch pole her, get her in a cage, get the baby secure, seal up the house. That way we can release mom. Mom will come get the babies, take them somewhere else, you know. Flashlight dies.
Oh, no.
Bye.
Dark
Bye.
space,
I would have said,
catch pole,
I would've said,
predator.
free
in front of
charge, I'm
you.
out.
Large mama raccoon
Oh my
protecting her babies. My
God.
cousin at one of several feet away from me. I'm on one end. Mom, last I knew, before the flashlight dies, mom is headed my direction.
That's like a horror film.
And
Like Jurassic Park. where they're-
yeah, that was a funny one. But for a split second, I'm like, I'm good. It's not that I was fearful. I'm one of these people, and I don't say this to sound tough. It's just not in my DNA. I don't really fear any human. I don't really fear any animal. But I knew in my heart, I'm like, I'm getting bit. This is.
Yeah.
I'm getting bit, and I was more so worried about my cousin at the time than I was myself, you know. And I'm like, I'm definitely getting bit because she was headed my direction, and then I can't remember what happened. I either had a secondary backup flashlight with me, or she had one. But turn on a light, and she was
right there.
right there, way too close.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
the point about when you're walking around and you feel like you're being hunted.
Yeah.
Like I'm more afraid like bears and foxes or whatever. You can pick them out. It's the cats that mess with me. You got
Really?
a mountain lion or a cougar. You'll never see them if you're being hunted.
And you
Yeah,
won't hear them
you
either.
don't know
You're not
it.
gonna hear
No.
'em.
So I'm walking sometimes
Ah.
along a river with a high ravine, and you just know this is territory that somebody's got eyes on you, just
Yeah.
waiting for you to slip up, and that is a terrible feeling.
Oh, now this is funny because it's our dog and we're not afraid of him, but I have a golden retriever that is enormous and he stalks us. And sometimes he'll be up at the top of the stairs and we're below, or you could just be in the kitchen and he comes from the living room and he gets in this low and my husband will go, "Stop it right now." And he'll be like, and then he'll
bounces.
come again and he'll freeze just for a few seconds and then bang, he'll
Yeah.
pounce on you.
Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
like, I can't imagine being in the wild and seeing something. Like, what would you do
You
if
wouldn't see
something
it.
took
It-
that?
It would hit you before you even knew it was there. That's what's
Oh
scary
my
about it.
gosh,
That's
yeah.
Like the bear scenario, like I said, when I was in Hubbard, hearing those crunches, like I've been in a lot of people that have woods around their house, and I'm there at night, and I've heard some snaps of twigs and some crunches, and I'm like, it's not a fear, but your senses immediately all get heightened. Like your hearing, your eyes, every sense
Yeah.
goes into overdrive because you're like, what is snapping that twig in this pitch black dark? You know,
Could be an acorn falling, or it could be a black bear.
could be something, yeah. And but I like that kind of stuff. Like I'm a horror movie guy. I'm into a lot of stuff, and like I said, I don't really. There's never been a time, wildlife speaking, that I've been scared. Now there has been some times when I'm not afraid of heights at all, but there has been some setups. Thank you to some of the people that I now work with that are contractors and handymen. I've learned a lot of different ways. There's a picture that my first year of working with bats, doing bat exclusions, I was new in business, didn't have a whole lot of money. My starting of my business is the most anti-ambition story ever. Nobody should start a business the way that I started a business. I can definitely tell you that if you want. My ladder was not tall enough.
Okay.
I see this guy's house that I'm working at. He's got a stack of pavers. And I go, okay, well, I'm just going to stack these pavers up, and I will now make my ladder tall enough.
Oh my God.
And
They're show approved for sure.
and like stupidly, I post this photo on my Facebook page, like, "Hey, getting the job done today." And people are like,
Everyone's like, "Go live,
they're
please
like-
go live."
They're like, "Yo, you're gonna die." Like the guy that was with me at the time, a good friend of mine named Nick. He helps me, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "I don't want you to do this, man." He's like, "Just go buy a ladder." And I'm like, new in business. I'm like, I can't afford an extension ladder at this point. I'm fresh in business, They're $500, So we stack these things up, and
God.
I take the photo and think, this is the coolest setup ever. And my client's happy I'm getting the job
You're like,
done.
"I'm innovative."
And the bricks are like this, the pavers. And I'm
Oh,
like, man,
God.
if one of them would have kicked out, that'd have been the end of me, And I've been on some like pitch, some roofs that the pitches are pretty crazy and stuff like that. Those are the ones that animals don't scare me, but there's times that I'm like, man, I don't like this roof, you know, I don't like this ladder setup, you know. So now I'm extra cautious on how I do stuff and making sure that not only for my own safety, but the integrity of my client's home too. It's like if I
Yeah.
die, that sucks, but you also have a giant hole in your roof. That also sucks for you, and I don't want that to happen, you know.
Well, now you know why women live longer than men.
Yes,
Kelin
100%.
stays away from snakes.
Yep. I'm calling you guys.
Yep.
And
I'm
you
out.
don't build pavers and ladders on top of it. Over here, there's some risk tolerances that were way higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about any like innovations with technology in your business? Like, can you get drones or things to go where?
Yeah. So the cool thing is, so there's only certain things. There is thermal. I'm one of the. This is like breaking news on your guys'
let's
podcast
do it.
because
Yeah.
I'm one of the only people that I know that gets a compliment on the fact that not so much a drone, but I have a handheld thermal device. And I'm able to look at your wall and they say, I hear it right here. And let's say the rest of the temperature is 40 degrees around it, and then there's this glowing ball, and then I tap right where that glowing ball is, and it scurries away. It's like, oh, I found your animal, you know?
That's cool.
There's a lot of other companies that aren't doing that. And you could do that with drones as well when you have a thermal on there. And the ones that don't have a thermal, the only thing I could really do with those is if somebody doesn't have a chimney cap, the camera can point down in the chimney, and then you have eyeballs looking at you and say, oh, there's a mom raccoon down there, or hey, I see your chimney swifts, or whatever's down there. So those are things. I just recently, not that this is going to help, it's just going to help my business page. I just got the Meta glasses, the Ray-Ban Meta glasses for filming purposes.
Oh.
So because there was to get views, to promote my company, again, I took risks that I'm like, well, that was pretty dumb, you know. Now I can film hands-free when I'm handling an animal, rather than like, let me one hand grab this animal and use my iPhone, you know, and take a selfie and do all this stupid stuff. And that's why I bought the glasses.
So let's do a review on those glasses. I want to hear. I just got a pair. I haven't
you?
really used it yet. So what's your experience been so far?
So, man, my experience was, so first of all, I have to tell you, I purchased them. They weren't in stock at the store that I was at. They ordered them for me. And I go, I want this size, this style. And they go, perfect. I get them. I'm super excited. Go home and take them home. Put them on. They look like car windshields on my face. And I'm like, this is the frame is the wrong frame. So then I called the company that I purchased them from. I said, you sent me the wrong size. Get them. Finally got the right pair. Take them home. Took the lenses to get my prescription put in them. And all I've done so far, probably the same thing that you've done, is I programmed them to my voice and I've asked it questions. I did the tutorial. So far, the photos look amazing. The videos look amazing.
Amazing.
Wow.
Super amazing.
Now, did you get the ones with the armband and they have the little display in the lens? No.
No, I got the Ray-Ban.
I think I got Wayfarer.
Yeah, Wayfarer. That's what they are. Wayfarer, the second generation
Yeah,
Wayfarer.
that's the same ones I got.
Same ones that I got. Yep. It doesn't have the armband. It just goes straight to my phone. So I can go live on Facebook. You know, if I want to show, you know, my followers on my page, like, hey, I'm up in an attic and I'm dealing with this, or hey, I'm in this pond, you know, fishing this snake out, or whatever. It's going to be really cool. It's
And you control it with speech?
Yep, with
like
speech.
start
Yep.
recording and things like that?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, all you have to say is Meta take a video, or Meta go live on Sonar Solutions page,
Wow.
and it'll do all that for you. The one thing, I don't know if you had a problem with this, the one thing when I was setting up my glasses is the way that you speak to it really, really matters, because I asked it a question because
it's female? Okay, I get it.
It is, and mine has a British accent, so
Yeah.
I think if I speak
Mine
in a British
too.
accent, then she listens better.
Oh,
Yeah.
I get it.
Bloody
Okay.
hell, yes.
but I was setting mine up and I said, I accidentally connected my glasses to my personal Facebook page, not my business Facebook page. And I said, hey, Meta, how can I switch from my, well, you can't do that. And then I rephrased the question, and they're like, oh, all you have to do is unattach. And I'm like, But I had to do that 3 times, and I was like the first day, and I'm already frustrated with these glasses right now because like it was how I worded my question really mattered. So I don't know how much that's going to play into, I'm just looking to do videos and photos and just whatever promotes my company and shows people wildlife,
That's
up close and
interesting.
personal. But
Well, see, I feel like a goof when I have to say commands around other people, like camera turn on, right?
Yeah,
I feel like an
right,
idiot.
right.
And
Now
they already think you're a robot.
I know, I know. But the one that goes on your wrist, it measures the tendons in your wrist,
Oh,
and
wow.
you make hand gestures to do those same things. So if you go like this, you can
Oh, wow.
program it to start filming.
Oh, that's cool.
And rewinding
Yeah.
and start streaming just with hand movements. I might look even weird like playing the piano in midair while I'm around people, but
Yeah.
I'd rather do that than speak aloud in front of a crowd.
It's
you know?
funny. You're worried about speaking out loud, but you'd rather have a bionic arm. Like,
Yeah,
out in
right.
public.
Yeah.
You must be yeah, that's it.
Well, what about like night vision goggles?
Night vision.
Do you use
That
those?
would be so. There's handheld night vision goggles. There's
That would have helped with the
binoculars.
raccoon when your
Oh, yeah.
flashlight dies.
Yeah,
and-
really. Yeah. So I'm coming up on my 6th year. So the way, again, like I said, the beginnings of my company are very laughable. But I'm just now I'm coming up on my 6th year, and I'm just now getting to a comfortable point in my business to where I am adding things that you're talking about, where I'm like, I want to make my life a little bit easier so I don't have to crawl around in this dirty attic, so I don't have to get on this roof, so I don't have to. So those things are collectively coming. That's why I said I got the thermal imaging device. I'm looking at drones right now because it is nice to. There's a lot of times when somebody has something in their chimney, and I'm doing it the old school way where I'm setting up a ladder, I'm getting on the roof, I'm looking down the chimney, or I do have the one thing that is nice, it's actually meant for, I want to say plumbers. It's a snake camera. So I can open up the damper of your fireplace, put the snake camera up there, and see eyeballs or fur or feathers or what is up there. So I
Yeah.
do, I'm starting to slowly collect more technology to help me out a little bit more. But I don't want to go overboard because what I do is kind of fun. It's almost like, some people skydive, some people bungee jump or fight or whatever.
You're like, I'm gonna go wrestle some
It's
wildlife.
like, it's fun for me to set up ladders and crawl on roofs and go into attics and be face to face with these animals. I've done some, I've been in swamps up to my chest, setting traps and getting snapping turtles and snakes and, doing all kinds of fun stuff, So there's certain things that technology can do for me, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of work.
Takes
that I
away
have
the
to do.
thrill.
Yeah, it takes away the thrill, and some of it just has to be manual. That's part of what I like about it.
Is there anything that you discovered once you started doing it that you were like, I never considered that, or something you learned about wildlife or trapping or anything? And
So I remember telling you guys at the beginning when we started that my perspective has changed a lot, and that's something that I learned, and I try to explain this without being offensive to all of the people watching this, my clients.
you will always offend the internet. Doesn't matter what you say.
Oh, trust me, I know. The one thing that changed my perspective greatly is when I show up is people that don't manage their property or manage their home well. And now this is with the exemption of elderly people that can't get out. Okay, with handicapped or disabled people or people that have certain things going on to where they can't monitor their property. But there's simple things. When I showed up and I had this perspective of like, yeah, I just want to trap this animal and get it off your property, and I was all gung ho. And then I showed up and they're so mad at these animals and they're so furious and they're cursing these animals, and I'm like, you have 4 feet of soffit missing. You presented that opportunity to that animal. You don't have a chimney cap on your chimney. You presented that to the animal. You have 50,
I feel attacked right now.
You have
I
50.
feel
See, I tried not to.
You basically let them in. Basically.
Yeah, so and I have people. You have 30 bird feeders in the backyard, and you don't take them in at night. Okay, you're presenting opportunities. Cat. If you want to feed stray cats, if you want to feed your birds, there's no birds that feed at night. Okay, take your bird feeders. I know it's an extra step in your day. Put them in the garage. Take them back out in the morning.
Oh, see, I wouldn't have considered that.
Cat food.
Taking them in at night.
Lots of people love to feed stray cats. That's great. I'm not taking away from your fun and helping stray, struggling animals. They are smart. They will learn sun up to sun down. if you're leaving cat food out or tuna fish or wet cat food out, you're inviting wildlife on your property. So certain things like that, it's like, that's what changed my perspective of, you are so upset, you want me to come and kill or dispatch this animal, but yet you've given it 15 reasons to be here.
Yeah.
It's not the animal's fault. You presented them all these opportunities. So we
Yeah.
need to learn some coexistence here. We need to button up that soffit. We need to get a cap on that chimney. We need to get your cats on a schedule, get your birds on a schedule, and that's really changed my perspective.
There's a lot more educating the public
Yes.
than just dealing with the
And when
wildlife.
you're doing a project or you're putting clutter in your lawn, you're never thinking this is inviting the wildlife. You're just
Right.
utilizing one of your, something
Right.
on.
Yeah.
I did a tree fell down, cut it up, made a big wood pile, and all of a sudden I had a freaking ton of animals that were living in that wood
Oh, yeah.
pile. So I had to go back out there and cut it up and burn it all off and give them a
Yes.
reason to not be there anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And same with lawn care. I encourage people. And I'm different. I live different. I don't want to be on the front of Better Homes and Gardens. I want wildlife. I know how to keep them out of my home. I like to see them. But if you are one of those people that is complaining about the wildlife all the time, but yet your grass is waist high,
Yeah, kind
Right.
of like exterminators come into
Yeah.
your house. You're like, maybe clean up in here a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
and get the
This chicken
food.
that left out overnight, does that invite
Yeah.
insects? Maybe.
Right. And just little things like, just like I said, I thought my perspective, changed on how I approach wildlife and how I want to handle wildlife, because it just got really mentally, I didn't expect this. It got really mentally and emotionally difficult on me showing up, especially during baby season. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a hunter or a trapper. When you see a baby animal and you don't think it's cute, and if you're just like, oh, I want to euthanize this animal, you're probably sociopathic at some level,
You're psycho.
So when I was showing up and I had to follow these rules and these laws, it's like, okay, I want to focus on exclusion. I want to focus on scaring these animals out of this property. And but the education and educating people is a huge part of something that I didn't think I was going to get into. I thought I was just going to say, call me today to remove whatever. And then the other thing that I notice with my business right now, because we're talking about those glasses, the one thing that I notice with being so active on social media, on Facebook specifically, AI and the false information that is getting passed along as factual information is something that just it hurts me. I take a lot of time and a lot of effort making posts that come from wildlife biologists, come from the ODNR, come from my own experience, and then somebody just makes this horrifically sad AI photo and says something about an animal, and you're like, that's not even factually true at all. Like, and you're spreading this, it's getting clicks, it's getting views, and it makes me, it does upset me to the point of like, man, like I spent hours at 3:00 this morning making a post about feeding deer or bats or whatever it is, and I'll maybe get, I had some stuff go viral with a few million views, but I'll maybe get 20 people that are like, cool, and give me the old blue thumbs up. And then somebody writes a fake post and it gets 2 million shares, and you're like,
And now everybody's dumber because of
Yeah.
it.
and now everybody's dumber because of it. Yeah. I've just like, there was one that I did a video on recently and it was so laughable. And sadly, it came from somebody that was supposed to be directly dealing with wildlife, not a trapper like me, but they said snowblowers are responsible for 50,000 deaths of wildlife because of your driveway. And I'm like,
What?
the driveway that we drive on every day, the driveway that doesn't have, what I mean? Exactly. That we drive on every day, that we walk on every day, and that we plow. And then also, if you think about this just factually, what organization is going around knocking on your door and says, hey, how many animals did your snowblower spit out today? Nobody's going around and collecting that information.
Yeah.
Totally made up, totally
Total-
fiction.
What
Totally,
the heck?
Totally fiction. And I'm like, and this is the stuff that gets share after share after share after share. And it's like, I get very discouraged trying on my social media. I get very discouraged and I take breaks sometimes because it's like,
Gets to be honest.
but then I get mad
Same.
at myself because I'm like, I can't take a break because now more false information is getting shared, about wildlife and how we can coexist with wildlife and, stuff that you see all the time. Hey, if you see a raccoon out during the daytime, it's got rabies. No, there is nothing that has ever said that a raccoon is only nocturnal. Nothing.
Wow.
You know,
yeah, that's
heard
one
that your whole life.
Yeah, that's
Heard-
widely believed, I
it's
think.
widely believed.
The
and-
rabies, the don't touch it, the mother will abandon it.
Yep, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the AI stuff and all these posts are just going crazy, and it's a lot. So those are the things. And with wildlife, I think I've just learned, if it's taught me anything, it's my approach not only to wildlife but to life in general. It's just been slow down and pay attention a little bit more, because when you're all gung ho and you're all hyped up and you're it's almost a fear, not a fear, but you're just amped up and you're like, oh, animals, not to sound hippy dippy, but they can sense your electromagnetic fields. They know if you're aggressive. They know how your approach is. They know if you're slow, and saying, hey, I'm here, and you give them the time, you give them the space versus you charge them. That's when you're getting bit. That's when you're getting sprayed by skunks. They can't see very good. I learned that the hard way my first year in business. I've with a skunk.
They can't
You
see
chase 'em?
well?
They can't see very well, and I pulled in. I didn't get sprayed, but it did spray. I didn't get sprayed directly,
Oof.
but I approached it very fast, and it sprayed. I scared it. Now I have photos and videos of me when I show up to an injured skunk or even a healthy skunk. I have sat down next to skunks and just let them know that I'm there. Don't move. Don't make loud noises. Don't be aggressive. Don't be
Non-threatening.
fast. Non-threatening.
My heart would be beating so fast if that were.
Do you show up like I would be head to
beekeeper
toe?
suit?
Yeah, or like a hazmat suit.
Yeah, Tyvek suit. So
Yeah.
I should. I very rarely do. And I'm sure it'll come back to haunt me one day because, anything when you're arrogant or cocky, it'll come back to bite you. Just like I said, not wearing a glove the day that I should have been wearing a glove, I got bit. With skunks, more often than not, I don't wear any protective stuff. I do get a lot of my clients that when I go up into they're like, you don't have a gun? You don't have this? You don't have that? And I'm like, they're like, and I'm like, no, I'm good, because I have learned to slow down and what to look for. But if I get sprayed, I get sprayed. It is what it is. If I get bit, I get bit. That's just part of the job. When, you got to figure in a year, I don't know how I can say it, but in a year, I probably see hundreds of animals, hundreds. If I get bit one time,
Good odds.
It's a good
year. That's a good year, So
Let me get a consult out of you. See what your feeling is. So
Sure.
motorhomes that sit in driveways, parking lots, wherever, and making contact with the tires. And if an animal gets up there while it's sitting, dormant, winterized, whatever, they can tear stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
What would you do to keep those things from, getting excited about making entry into your motorhome?
So, I mean, there is some spray deterrents that they sell over the counter that you can give it a shot. Again, the spicy trick may work again for you. Noise is another thing that is helpful. These really don't exist anymore, but AM, FM radios where you can plug them into, or battery powered ones where it sounds like a human talking is going to help keep them away. The thing is, we're all at a deficit. So with wiring in motorhomes and cars, do you realize all of our wiring is coated with peanut oil?
Oh my goodness. That seems very dumb.
I made
not
it on the
know
news
that.
a couple years ago because
Whoa.
a lady had a groundhog. And then I made it, I've gotten groundhogs, I've gotten squirrels, and I've gotten a rabbit out of engines, out of motors, and they have destroyed, and mice, chipmunks, they
Yeah.
destroy wires. They're all coated with peanut oil.
Huh.
And everything likes peanuts, and everything, especially rodents,
Oh yeah, I just assumed they found like warmth, and
warmth.
so went up in
oh
there.
yeah, that's what
but-
it starts out as, but as a rodent, they have
like,
to chew.
"Ooh,
They have to chew,
yum."
and if something smells appetizing to them, they're
just-
going to chew on it,
So we use like a peppermint oil, peppermint spray. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so there's peppermint. There's a lot of products online. Some are going to work, some are not. You know, it's trial and error. A lot of it really is. I as a professional, I hate to say it, but sometimes some things work on certain animals and sometimes others don't. Sometimes, like that lady was talking about the squirrels, sometimes they're just persistent and don't care what you put out there. If they want to destroy it and if they want to make it a home, they're going to make it a home.
Especially if you're not going to be there in a while. Like we had, one of our friends had a squirrel get in, and they used all the mattresses and all the seat cushion to make a little nest in there. And since they didn't come check on it, but a couple months later, they had plenty of time to make it their home.
Right.
We have about a minute left.
Okay. All right. So why don't you give everybody your information if people want to check you out on Facebook or anything you got?
So you can follow me on Facebook at Sauner Solutions Nuisance Wildlife Removal. You can call me at 330-980-1572. I am on Instagram as well. I'm not really too active on there, but I do have an Instagram if you want to message me on there. It's Sauner Wildlife Removal. Other than that, I do have an official website as well, www.saunersolutionsnuisancewildliferemoval.com.
Yeah, and if you need spelling, it's actually in the description of this video, so just copy paste from there and you'll be able to find them.
Chris said I could listen to you every day.
If you pronounce it like Saner, you'll spell it right, because that's what everybody says when they see. They're like, "Oh, we thought you had Saner solutions to wildlife problems," and I'm like, if it works, it works. You know?
Yeah.
So. All right, well, Josh, thanks for coming in and talking with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right,
so much.
Catch you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel